Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Gametime YouTube channel. It's your boy Rags, and in today's video, we're covering everything that you guys need to know about CDL Major I. That's right, it's the very first major for the professional Call of Duty League in 2022. So we're going to catch you up with all the storylines. We're going to go through the bracket, highlight some premier matchups, show you guys my picks and my winners, and then at the end, we take some questions from Twitter. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and then comment below. Who do you guys think is going to win CDL Major I? All right, let's get into the video. First, let's talk about the current CDL standings. But before we get into the standings, I want to explain how these CDL points are given out. For the 2022 Professional Call of Duty League season, there are 4 major events. Each of the major events are these big LAN tournaments of massive prize pools given out of, like, I don't know, $200-ish thousand, and teams are competing for this. It is a double elimination tournament, but when I show you guys the bracket later, you'll see only like the top 8 teams have the luxury of it being double elimination. So the way the seedings and these CDL points are given out is through qualifiers throughout the season. So each major correlates with a month. Think of it like that. And prior to that month, there are 3 qualifier weekends where games are simply played, right? Right now, if you're looking at the standings, Atlanta FaZe is at the top. Surprise, surprise. Think of Atlanta FaZe as like the Patriots during their heyday with Tom Brady. Like, they're always in the mix. They're always winning. Everyone hates them, myself included. But they are so good. They are so talented. It's unbelievable. Like I was saying, FaZe is 5-0. They're undefeated, so they're always going to be the top of the food chain, right? But they have 5 wins, 0 losses. They have 50 CDL points. So every one of these weekend series, you could think of it, that you win gives you 10 CDL points. So at the bottom, Paris Legion is 0 for 5 with 0 CDL points. So Atlanta FaZe is going to have the number 1 seed going into the major, and Paris Legion will have the 12 seed going into Major I. So now that we understand how the CDL works with seedings and points and weekend series, let's look at the actual bracket for Major I. And as you see here, the winners are on the top, where you see round 1 with Atlanta FaZe, Boston Breach, and then at the bottom you see elimination. That's also the losers bracket. So like I mentioned before, only the top 8 teams get the advantage of it being a double elimination tournament. So those weekend series are very, very important. So as you'll see here, Atlanta FaZe, which is seed 1, is going to be facing the 8 seed Boston Breach. Now I want to highlight some of these matchups. I do think FaZe is going to beat them either 3-1 or 3-0. Breach is a very good team, though. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. Next, Optic Texas versus Seattle Surge. This is going to be a premier matchup. Seattle Surge has 2 rookies on their team, and they've been making a ton of noise. We'll get more into the storylines later with Seattle's rookies, but this is a premier matchup. I'm an Optic fan. I have Optic in this series. Next, we have London Royal Ravens versus Los Angeles Guerrillas. I'm going to be honest with you guys, LAG is way overrated. Royal Ravens should absolutely steamroll them here. And this is where things get interesting. Los Angeles Thieves are the 3rd best ranked team in Vanguard right now. I personally think they're a little bit overrated. They're a very, very talented team, but Toronto Ultra has not been playing to the best of their potential. It's also very important to note these weekend series games are played online, so everyone has different connections. These major events are LAN events, so what that really means in layman's terms, everyone is on the same connection. So when everyone's on the same connection, it's a pure form of competition. Sometimes with internet connections, people can have an advantage. I think Ultra beats LAT here. That is an upset, but that is absolutely a possibility that could happen. Toronto Ultra are demons on land, and I expect them to show that this weekend. And then I want to highlight one team here in the elimination bracket, Minnesota Rocker. This is the most underrated team in all of the CDL right now. They haven't been playing great in their weekend performances and in their qualifiers, but if they get it together, they can make a run in the losers bracket and really make some noise. They're going to be in a very tough spot facing either LAG or Royal Ravens, and then they got to face the loser of Toronto and LAT. Let's go through the rest of my bracket. In round 2, winners, we got Atlanta FaZe facing off against Optic. This is the biggest matchup in professional Call of Duty history. It's always been FaZe versus Optic. You're either a FaZe up guy or you're with the Greenwall, baby, brick by brick. Listen, I'm an Optic fan through and through. I think FaZe win this one. FaZe have just looked unbelievably dominant so far in the CDL. I do think they've had a little bit of an easier schedule, but even last year in Cold War, they just were unstoppable on land. I do expect them to come out of the gates firing, send Optic into the losers bracket. So they're going to advance, and underneath that, in the second round winners matchup, I have Ravens against Ultra and London Royal Ravens. They do not get the respect that they deserve because they're not based in the US. So I feel like their fan base is not as well represented. I could say the same thing for Toronto Ultra. Both these teams are demon, but I have a weird feeling that London Royal Ravens are going to be the best team this year in the CDL. With that, they will be facing FaZe in the winners final. But I got a little twist here in the storyline. FaZe are actually going to beat the Ravens. That's right, they're going to beat the London Royal Ravens, get to the finals, and then the London Royal Ravens are going to be making a run in the losers bracket. So this is how it would shape up according to MRags, which could be extremely faulty, but we're going to see how this plays out. Round 2 losers. We got Breach is good. First of all, in that round 1, that's a testy matchup for Boston Breach. Florida Mutineers versus Boston Breach is a tough matchup because Florida Mutineers just came out of the gates firing. They just 3-0'd Seattle Surge, and they were one of the worst teams in the CDL, but now they 3-0'd Seattle Surge. That's going to be a crazy matchup. Breach are going to beat them probably like 3-2, 3-1, and then Seattle Surge is going to beat Paris Legion. Whoever gets the matchup against Paris Legion should kind of wipe the floor with them. So Surge moves on. It's going to be Breach versus Surge. I have Surge winning that gameplay to face Optic in... That's not the winners. That's not the losers finals. That's like round 3. I'm going to take it one step underneath to then go back to round 2 and show you guys the losers final. Rocker, like I said, is probably going to beat LAG. I think LAG are kind of frauds. Rocker is very, very underrated, like I said. So Rocker is going to move on from that LAG win. Then they're going to be facing LA Thieves. LA Thieves, very good team. I don't know if they're a top 3 team. As of right now, they currently are. I kind of think they're top 5. We're going to really see how they play this weekend in the LAN. They're going to go up against Rocker. I do think they beat Rocker simply because they have a little bit more... They're kind of clicking a little bit more right now. They're in form right now, and Rocker is kind of falling out of form. They could pick it all... Like, this could all change. If you're watching this video at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on Thursday, all of this could change. Or even like early Friday, all of this could change. But walking into the LAN... this is how it's shaping up. And then Los Angeles Thieves are going to be facing Toronto Ultra. I got Ultra beating them there to face Optic in round 4 of the losers bracket. Optic then secure a top 3 and face the Royal Raven. And then in the elimination final, so Optic secures their top 3, right? Now they have to face London Royal Ravens. And unfortunately, London Royal Ravens, too big, too fast, too strong. I do think they take out Optic. It hurts my heart to say my heart is with Optic, but my brain is with London Royal Ravens. And now Ravens are going to be hot going into the finals against FaZe. That's going to be a best of 9 series. And what are the London Royal Ravens going to do? They're going to win, but in 8 maps. They're going to 5-3 Atlanta FaZe. It's going to be a crazy start to the CDL season, and I couldn't be more excited. That's how the MRags bracket is shaping up. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments below who you think will win CDL Major I. So we talked about the current CDL. We talked about how everyone gets their seeding. We talked about the matchups and my bracket. Now let's talk about some of the storylines going on in the CDL. What's going on with these teams? The first one I want to talk about is from my hometown, NYSL. New York Subliners are down bad. They started the season. They look pretty decent, and then a couple weeks into the season, they dropped one of their players. It was so fast that you knew some locker room issues had to be going on. Since then, they have just been downward spiraling. So much so that there are rumors swirling that Crimsix and Clayster, who are like the 2 premier players on this team, like Crimsix and Clayster are CDL veterans. They've been around the scene for a decade plus. They're legends in the scene. There's talks that they might retire. I don't know how true those are, but those are the storylines swirling. So if NYSL has a really bad weekend, which I don't expect them to come out of the gates and really be that strong, it's going to be a tough look for NYSL. They could pick it up, but that's kind of the biggest thing going on with New York Subliners. They have a lot of mixing up going on with the team, so much so that they can't quite get it together and get a roster that can all play together. Another major storyline in the CDL, the rookies in the CDL are unbelievable. And the 3 I want to talk about, Sib and Pred, who both play for Seattle Surge, have been dominant. These guys look like freaks on the sticks. Their reaction time's insane. Their plays are great. Their gun skill is just out of this world. And also Capsidal on Boston Breach. these three rookies have been making such big names for themselves, making insane plays, highlight plays, which seems like every single series. It is so much fun to watch these new names get into the CDL and just immediately start fragging. So the top three that I see right now for the Rookie of the Year, Capsidal, Sib, and Pred. And again, Sib and Pred are on the same team. So if Seattle Surge is doing well, you know those rookies are slaying out together. So it's always exciting when we see new names in the CDL popping off. So look out for those rookies. I mean, they're these young kids. They're like 19, 20 years old. They got this cracked gun skill, and they're just unbelievable. So I'm super excited about that. In the offseason, Optic Gaming, who was formerly Chicago Optic, merged with Dallas Empire. Dallas Empire actually won the CDL, the very first CDL event in Modern Warfare. So if you guys remember the Modern Warfare game, it was the same engine which Warzone came out, that 2019 game. Dallas Empire won, and that team featured Crim6, it featured Clayster, it featured a couple of these established names. Then what happened was there was some financial issue or something with Dallas Empire. They merged with Chicago Optic, and now they became Optic Texas. So Scump and Dashy from Chicago Optic merged with Illy and Shotzi. So now that is Optic Texas now. So it's a combination of those two teams, and these are some dominant players. Scump is probably, I don't even think probably, he is the most well-liked player in the entire CDL. Everyone loves his content on YouTube when he streams. He's like a fan favorite through and through. He's my favorite player in the CDL by far. Dashy is like a freak. The kid has a 1.2 KD. He just beams everyone. He's also like immortal in Valorant. He's just a gamer. Shotzi has some of the best POVs you've ever seen. He used to be a professional Halo player because he was too young to compete in Call of Duty, and he is unbelievably good as well. And then Illy as well is another unbelievable player. He's also known as the Pope. Beast of a team. If they bring it all together and click, Optic Texas could really make a run for it this year. But as we've seen in the past, they kind of got off a slow start to this season, and they've really been picking it up, but they got to play better. So Optic Texas was the merger between Dallas Empire and Chicago Optic. And then last storyline I want to focus on here is Crim6 versus FaZe. So Crim6, aka Thick 6, Cowboy 6, whatever you want to call him, he is one of the most provoking players in the CDL. He is the most provoking player in the CDL. He loves to be the villain, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks. The dude has been gunning people in competitive Call of Duty scene for a decade plus, and he just talks the most shit of anyone you've ever seen. So he is currently in a fight with the entire FaZe roster. The entire FaZe roster, like Arcity, Simp, Abeezy, Celium, they were all subtweeting and even kind of just tweeting at Crim6. And Crim6 soaks it all in, and he loves being the villain. So look out for Crim6 versus, honestly, the world. I have Crim6 here in my notes versus FaZe Clan. It's Crim6 versus the world. So if they get a matchup together, which is going to be very tough for FaZe to kind of play NYSL this year, at least in this Major 1, but next time that they see each other, it might go down, and I'm excited for it. Our first CDL question comes from Hank Lockwood, who's the Pardon My Take producer. He's a massive Boston sports fan, so once Boston announced a Call of Duty team, especially a Robert Kraft-owned CDL team, Hank instantly became Boston Breach's #1 fan. Hank's question: how often do teams win majors coming out of the losers bracket? How and why can Boston Breach shock the world and win the whole damn thing? So let's start with the first part of the question. This may be surprising to a lot of people who have never seen or really followed a professional Call of Duty event. There's actually a massive advantage for coming out of the losers bracket. And let me explain. Typically, when a team wins and qualifies for the championships final, so think about FaZe winning every series and then getting placed into the championship. They do not play a series before that championship series. So they actually come in a little bit ice cold. So they warm up in the back with coaches and stuff like that. But the team coming out of the losers bracket probably plays 2 series that Sunday to get that finals series. They're already warmed up. They're ready to go. They've already been in 2 series. It's not like much fatigue you see where traditional sports like think about AAU basketball teams. Like, oh, they already played 2 games. Like this 3rd game that they have, they're going to be tired. In gaming, it's quite the opposite. And most people play for such long periods of time, especially these professional gamers, that they're like hot, they're ready to go, and they just beat everyone to get into that finals. They're hot and ready to go. So it absolutely can happen. Where Boston Breach is unlucky since they face FaZe in the first matchup, they're going to get knocked down to the losers bracket early, and they're going to have to make one of the craziest runs of all time. It could happen because Boston Breach is one of the most underrated teams in the league. Capsidal, the rookie who's been lighting up the league. They got Methods, TJ Holly, and Nero. This team has been playing so much better than I think anyone gave them credit for, and they have a real chance, especially on LAN, to make some big noise. They just got very unlucky with their current seeding that they're going to be facing Atlanta FaZe in their first matchup. It could happen, Hank. I know you'd go nuts. I know Boston Breach would go nuts. It's not looking likely, but there is an advantage for actually coming out of the losers bracket. So stay tuned and we'll see how Boston Breach can do. The next question comes from Jake Allen, and he asks, should the major formatting change to like a playoff bracket? Does a winless Legion really deserve to be in it? So this was actually a major change from Call of Duty Cold War to Vanguard. In the past, only 8 teams were elected, or I guess chosen, or earned the right to go to these major events. It wasn't all 12. I'm a fan of every single team being present at the major. These teams pay so much money to be in this league. It's like $25-30 million that they deserve the right to at least compete on LAN. Now, Legion's the last seed, so they're going to be facing the hardest competition. I do think that they deserve to be at every single major, and they just got to step up their gameplay. The playoff format doesn't need to necessarily be engaged with or need to be added in because we play all these weekend games, so we already know, hey, Legion gets the last seed. So I'm a fan of this current format. I do think something has to change though, with the winner being able to get a little bit warmed up for Championship Sunday, going back to the question that I just answered from Hank. Our third question coming in from Alan Karst. Alan, thanks for your question, bro. If Optic win champs, do you think Scump retires, and who you think would be a good replacement? Let me start by saying this. When Scump retires, it's going to be a very sad day for the CDL. He is one of the most impactful players. He got me into the CDL. He got a lot of people into the CDL. The day he retires will be a very sad day for the CDL. So I don't think anyone could really replace him. You can get people who can kind of like maybe replicate his gun skill, but I can't even think about that, I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm not even sure who would possibly replace Scump. If Optic wins champs, I think he rides off in the sunset. I think he's kind of hitting that point where he doesn't want to deal with, are we going to get a good Call of Duty? Are we going to get a bad Call of Duty? I do think he's at the point where he's played a ton of competitive Call of Duty. He's still beaming kids, but he might look at content creation. He loves streaming. He loves entertaining. He might just be like, you know what? This might be the time for me to kind of become that entertainer I always knew I was. So I do think if they win champs, he rides off in the sunset. Question from 100 Thieves, Billy. What about it works for you? Billy, I love you. Our next question comes in from John Lubering. John, first of all, if I butchered your last name, that's on me, dude. Like, I can barely read, so I apologize. John asks, can the LA Thieves win Major 1? And will the father-son duo show out? He's talking about Kenny and Draza. As it stands right now, LA Thieves are the number 3 rated team in the CDL, and they have been playing unbelievably well in their weekend series. I'm a little bit scarred from watching them last year. LA Thieves on Cold War were not a great team, but this team feels completely different. If LA Thieves is able to play on LAN the same way they've been playing online, they really can make a run and win the whole damn thing. However, they have a very difficult first 2 rounds in the winner's bracket. First, you got to go through Toronto Ultra. Toronto Ultra is a very, very talented team on LAN. They haven't been able to pull it together so far online in the Vanguard season, but if Toronto Ultra plays the way they typically do on LAN, that's going to be a very tough first round matchup for LA Thieves. I mean, Toronto Ultra was the runner-up last year right behind FaZe in Call of Duty Cold War, so they're always a threat. If LA Thieves win that game and advance, they're probably going to play London Royal Ravens, and you guys know I think Royal Ravens are going to win the whole thing. So those are 2 very difficult matchups to start off. But if LA Thieves is able to play the same way they have been playing online at this LAN event, they have a good chance to win the whole thing. It really could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish like a top 3, top 4 seed. So we're going to see how LA Thieves do, and I really hope they play well on this LAN, because we know the LA Thieves fans, they show up and they show out. Last question coming in here from Patrick Quinlan. If NYSL flame out in the major, who are they dropping and who should they look to add? You want to know the funniest thing? There's like some reports swirling that Neptune may rejoin NYSL. So if NYSL does not do well in this major, could you see them adding back in Neptune? Like, would that be going backwards? Would that be going forward? I have no idea, but I weirdly think that Neptune needed a second to kind of I don't know if it was a chemistry thing, a team thing, a locker room thing. Maybe he took his time, breathed a little bit, and then he's going to come back like Neptune 2.0. We're going to see, but I do weirdly think if NYSL plays good or bad, but if they play bad, they're going to add Neptune back. All right, guys, that wraps up your CDL Major I preview video. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and then comment below who do you think is going to win CDL Major I. And I better see no comments coming in on Sunday, because then I know that you cheated, and you cheated yourself. If you guys want to see any other type of content or me to go over any other storylines in the next preview video or individual matchups, shoot me a tweet, DM me on Discord. Let me know. We want to make these a lot better for you guys to watch in the future. So however we can add to these shows, please let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Enjoy Major I. I'll see you guys in the next one.